Residents of COOMACKA mines plagued with more flooding. Man sentenced to life in prison for raping 5-year-old. Woman dies in accident hours after arriving in the country for mother's funeral. In the region, UN warns Haiti aid response is underfunded, and internationally, violence in Ethiopia threatens to tear the country apart. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. While battling with flooding from heavy rains over the past weeks, residents of COOMACKA mines in Region 10 are now plagued with more flooding after a tail pond belonging to Bosai, located in East Montgomery, collapsed late last night and flooded the communities of Three Friends and Marie Elizabeth mines. The breach occurred in a reservoir behind the community of Three Friends mines. Sections of a reinforced dam used to access the flooded community of Marie Elizabeth have broken away. Engineers from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authorities, as well as a team from the bauxite company Bosai, have been earlier today assessing the situation to pinpoint the exact source. This flooding has further worsened the current flooding from rainfalls and high tides already experienced in and around the community. The residents are frustrated and in a state of despair. One family's house and business have completely inundated, resulting in their temporary relocation. After just arriving in the country for the funeral of her mother, a woman was killed in an accident on the Linden-Suicide Highway. More from Esther Silvers.
A 56-year-old woman was killed in a vehicle collision on the Haruni Public Road, Soosdijk-Linden Highway. According to authorities, the woman, June Ford, had recently returned to the country to attend her mother's funeral. June was picked up at the Chedi Jagan International Airport around 7:30 p.m. by her son, 37-year-old Michael Ford. They were returning home to 1 Mile Wismar Linden. On their way to Linden, Michael's car ended up in the path of a motor lorry, license plate GZZ2701, driven by 25-year-old Kavel Karu, who was heading to Georgetown. Both vehicles were damaged and June Ford was brought out of the vehicle unconscious, whilst Michael Ford was taken out of the vehicle consciously. They both were taken to the Diamond Diagnostic Center, where June Ford was pronounced dead. Michael Ford was transferred to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where he was admitted with a penetrating injury to his right eye. A breathalyzer test performed on the lorry truck driver detected no alcohol on his breath. He is currently being held in detention until additional investigations are conducted. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Silvers.
Thanks, Esther. An accident on the UG Access Road and Gaisupo Housing Scheme Main Access Road has left one person injured and another facing the law. Inquiries disclosed that the accident occurred around 6:15 last evening between motorcar PLL 4073, owned and driven by 26-year-old Akeem Kendall of East Rumpel, Georgetown, and motorcycle CK 5399, owned and driven by 39-year-old Joel Hillman of 3rd Street Section, Turkine, Georgetown. The car was proceeding south along UG Access Road, while the motorcycle was proceeding north along the said road. As both vehicles approached the main access road, the motorcar turned into the path of the motorcycle, causing the front of the motorcycle to collide with the left of the motorcar. The motorcyclist fell as a result of the collision, suffering injuries to his face and body. He was taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital and is now in a stable condition. He suffered a fracture in his forehead, a laceration to his left eye, and internal bleeding in his head. A breathalyzer test was conducted on the driver of the motorcar. However, no trace of alcohol was found. He is in police custody, assisting with the investigation. Stick around, we've got more news for you after the break.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Here's what's happening on Waterloo Street at John Lewis Styles during the month of June. Shop for Father's Day and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to Arrow Point Nature Resort. Buy any men's suit and get a free tie, or buy any men's pair of shoes and get a free pair of socks. Traveling this summer? Buy any luggage set and get a free travel pouch. Visit us on Waterloo Street for more choices and better prices. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Tastes so good. It's gotta be made with Alabama Baker wheat flour. Produced from quality soft winter wheat and quality enzymes to give a superior product that's guaranteed to be luscious, delightful to taste, and stays fresher longer. Alabama Baker wheat flour is perfect for breads, roti, puri, pastries, chow mein, pastas, and many other delights. Imported and distributed by Alabama Trading. 6566 Robb Street, Borda, and 23 Lombard Street. Telephone 225-5800.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The government is calling on the mayor of Georgetown, Ubrajarain, to stop playing politics with the well-being of the citizens. The government said it would assume active monitoring of the operations of the city's drainage pumps and sluices after accusing the Georgetown mayor and city council of deliberately lapsing in supervising the operations of the structure, leading to repeated flooding in the capital. This comes after the city was on Wednesday again flooded after a period of heavy rainfall. Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa expressed disappointment while explaining that the government increased the city's drainage capacity with 3 additional drainage pumps to control flooding. He said it is up to the government now to ensure there is no more flooding in the city.
As it stands now, we have implemented a system that where we have people manning these, are checking these places on a 24-hour system, and we have real report, fast report, as soon as these pumps are not working, because as I am speaking now, we are getting report coming in from these areas that which pumps are working and which sluices are working. So we'll continue to do that until we come up with a proper solution how we'll address this matter, because we can't just go and take over the responsibility of the city and say we'll take over the drainage system. We have to ensure that they do their work too.
According to the minister, on Wednesday, no report was received from the city council despite 3 pumps not being in operation. He said that while works was quickly executed to ensure that these issues were fixed, checks were made later in the evening and another issue was discovered. He said that 3 of the city pumps and sources were shut down. When this issue was raised with the mayor, there was, quote, no proper answer, end quote. Now, the Agriculture, Public Works and local government ministries will assume the responsibility of monitoring drainage and irrigation in the capital.
We have been managing, we have hundreds of pumps across this country. As a matter of fact, we could have close to about 300 pumps, the NDIA. These pumps, similar pumps that are placed in the city. And we have people working at all these pumps. These pumps are operated on time. They are serviced on time and they are functional. And if we could do that, different parts of the country, places like in Region 1, places in Region 10, those areas that we have pump, we are managing it. And the city is not a problem for us.
The agriculture minister said that the city has enough drainage structure to prevent any occurrence of flooding. Had those systems been in operation, the city would not have been inundated. In this report, Esther Sobers tells us, residents and business owners in South Renfield Gardens are once again expressing their dissatisfaction with the community's impassable roads. Here's more.
Residents and business owners in South Renfield Gardens are once again expressing their dissatisfaction with the community's impassable roads, which continues to be destroyed by heavy-duty trucks. While the road has been an issue for years, the community suffered disruption to the phone lines when the road was substandardly fixed by the Ministry of Central Housing and Planning authorities.
Our community and businesses are being affected drastically because of the way the work is being going about. For instance, our road is being destroyed to a terrible state where cars can't drive on it anymore. So we have customers having issues with having to take detours, and even with the detours, the good roads are blocked off. This morning we learned, well, yesterday afternoon we learned that our phones were down. So we started to investigate what really happened, and we found that exactly where the road is being built, telephone line was knocked down. So the whole area is out of phones right now, which affects my business big time because we do marketing of novelty items and so on. So we got a lot of Father's Day things going on and customers can't make contact with us. I just think that they have a better way that they could have gone around doing the situation.
While the road was repaired just a week ago by CHPA, it has again become impassable for vehicles due to the expanding potholes, mud, and other conditions that have forced many to use alternate routes. Residents in the community are also airing their concerns since the Minister of Public Infrastructure, Juan Edge, lives just around the corner from the deplorable road.
I am a worker at Cold Screen Printers. We are located behind the plaza in the south. So that main road there, the walking is terrible in the morning, in the afternoon. And if the rain falls, it's the worst because they have traffic there passing all hours of the day. So they kind of like stir up the mud. You come in your boots, you got to wash it when you get into work, and you don't know, messing up your socks and all of that. So it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
First of all, the roads are in a deplorable situation. Yesterday's rain, for example, I came right away around through all the floods, only to realize that they closed off the roads in Caneview Avenue. So I had to drive right away around to go right back up to Critchlow in order to get back around home, where it's just a stone's throw from where I was originally.
The community is yet again calling for immediate action to be done by the government to fix the deplorable roads. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. On Thursday, Alex Garraway, also known as Uncle Alex, was sentenced to life in prison in his absence with the possibility of parole after 20 years for a rape and sexual assault on a 5-year-old girl. 22-year-old Garraway of Cummins Park, Eastfield, Sophia, was sentenced by Justice Brassington Reynolds in the Sexual Offense Court of the Demerara High Court. In May, the absentee was convicted by a jury of engaging in sexual penetration with the victim between November 1st, 2018 and April 30th, 2019. A warrant has been issued for his arrest. Before imposing the sentence, Justice Reynolds considered the nature and circumstances under which the offense was committed and the need to protect defense-sensitive girls in society. In imposing the life sentence on Garvey, Justice Reynolds ordered that 20 years be spent in jail before he was eligible for parole. Don't go away. After the break, we have your regional and international news.
Problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Here's what's happening on Waterloo Street at John Lewis Styles during the month of June. Shop for Father's Day and you could win an all-inclusive trip for two to Arrow Point Nature Resort. Buy any men's suit and get a free tie, or buy any men's pair of shoes and get a free pair of socks. Traveling this summer? Buy any luggage set and get a free travel pouch. Visit us on Waterloo Street for more choices and better prices. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. The United Nations says there is not enough money to cover this year's humanitarian response plan in Haiti. That is even though political instability and the coronavirus pandemic have left many more people in need of help. Al Jazeera's Kristen Salumi reports.
In Haiti, an impoverished country with densely packed communities and poor sanitation, disease can spread quickly. A surge in coronavirus cases is pushing the two main hospitals in the capital of Port-au-Prince to capacity. But international aid to Haiti has been hard for the United Nations to raise since 2010, when UN peacekeepers there introduced cholera to the country.
There's been a funding issue, right? We haven't had the funds that we need.
The source of the cholera epidemic that ultimately claimed 10,000 lives was unclear at first, but was ultimately traced to the inadequate handling of sewage at a Nepalese UN peacekeeping base.
We apologize to the Haitian people.
The Secretary General at the time, Ban Ki-moon, eventually apologized for the UN's handling of the crisis. In a new memoir, he calls it a lasting stain on the UN's reputation. The UN has since spent more than $700 million fighting cholera in Haiti, and another $8 million so far in victim-led community development. But a U.S. court ruled that the United Nations could not be sued for damages due to diplomatic immunity, and no victims have ever been directly compensated.
We are not liable legally on this matter, but that does not mean that we are not responsible morally. That's why I did my best to really support Haitian people.
It's completely misleading and manipulative.
International law professor and former UN Special Rapporteur Philip Alston says the UN may have immunity in court, but it does have a responsibility to compensate victims under its own charter.
This is not a question of a moral duty, it's a legal duty. We screwed these people, we've got to pay for it.
In his book, Bond describes lawyers who attempted to get compensation for Haitians who lost loved ones as attempting to extort the UN. Mario Joseph was one of those lawyers.
We need him to repair Haiti to people who the mother killed on cholera, who cannot go to school, cannot have potable waters. That's why it's a heritage of Mr. Ban Ki-moon.
Haiti hasn't had a new case of cholera in 2 years, but the country has yet to recover, with yet another deadly disease on the rise. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, the United Nations.
Meanwhile, the coronavirus pandemic continues to ravage Latin America. Al Jazeera's Daniel Schumiller reports.
Paraguay now has one of the worst per capita death and infection rates anywhere in the world. Hospitals are overstretched.
We begged for them to attend to my mother, but they didn't give us any kind of attention. They only said there was no space at that time because they were overwhelmed with patients.
And even when they can find room, they don't always have sufficient supplies of oxygen and medicines to treat their patients.
Patients are not directly turned away, but when they arrive, we explain to them that there is no longer enough oxygen, so they cannot be given the care they deserve. And yes, unfortunately, for 2 weeks now, patients have been turned away.
Less than 7% of Paraguay's 7.5 million population have been vaccinated. And until more are treated, experts fear the infection rates are only likely to keep rising. The forecast is brighter elsewhere, where vaccination campaigns are more advanced. Here in Argentina, 30% of the population has had at least one jab, with millions more doses scheduled to arrive in the coming weeks. With infection rates gradually falling, there's a perceptible rise of optimism in the air. Tens of thousands of pupils in Buenos Aires province have returned to their classrooms after months of online teaching at home.
We are all happy to be able to come back. We are observing the COVID-19 protocols.
Despite opposition from some, Rio de Janeiro's famous samba schools are also back to prepare for next year's carnival. Brazil's COVID crisis is still far from under control. But after more than a year of inactivity, during which the 2021 carnival was cancelled, many are relieved to be active again, despite the risks.
I'm very happy to be back with the band after such a long time, after a year of being separated, a year without playing the drums. Now I'm the happiest and most fulfilled person in the world.
The pandemic is still, however, preventing some from fulfilling their dreams. In Ecuador, doctors Mavelin and David have postponed their wedding to keep treating COVID-19 patients.
I don't regret it because we've helped many families who can now be with their loved ones.
Both have themselves recovered from the virus and say they'll beat it again, with the whole country watching and waiting to see when they'll finally get married. Daniel Schweiner, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
And internationally, many people have fled Ethiopia in recent months. In the region of Tigray, thousands have been killed during a military operation to capture fugitive local leaders. Al Jazeera's Mohammed Adaw reports.
Farah Roble has just been brought to the emergency unit of the city's zonal hospital in Biki town. He was shot in the stomach by militiamen from the neighboring Afar region. Herdsmen from the Somali and Afar tribes have been fighting for the past 3 years, following a dispute over land.
Hundreds of heavily armed Afar gunmen attacked our village. They were brought in vehicles and were shooting everyone in sight. They took over our village. I saw at least 10 dead and about 20 others injured before I was injured.
Most of those injured in clashes with the Afar militias end up in this hospital. The trauma ward is full of patients wounded in the near daily clashes at the border.
Medical workers at the Biki hospital say they are overwhelmed by the big number of patients arriving with gunshot wounds. They say they've been forced to move those stable enough to move to the corridors of the hospital to create more space for the critically injured.
Some of these young men have been discharged from the hospital, but with their land firmly in the grip of their opponents, they have chosen to stay.
I have no home to go back to. Our homes were burned by the raiders and our cattle and camels have been taken away. I really don't feel I am Ethiopian anymore, but if the government believes I have any rights in this country, it should stop the conflict. This would help us return to our land.
Clashes between the Afar and Somali tribesmen were first triggered by a decision by the federal government to hand over 3 Somali-inhabited districts to Afar regional state. Since then, the conflict has only intensified. Afar rights activists also blame Somali clans who depend on a nomadic way of life for raiding Afar-owned grazing lands while aided by Somali regional special forces, accusations Somali officials frequently deny. Ethnic-based violence in Ethiopia is not just limited to the Afar and Somali regions. In the Benishangul Gumuz region, conflict between tribes have left hundreds dead in recent months. In the Oromo region of Ethiopia, hundreds of unarmed civilians have been massacred and thousands displaced after Oromo politicians allegedly coordinated attacks on tribes in the Welega area with an armed wing of a rebel group in the region. In the foothills where the highlands of Ethiopia meet the vast plains of the Somali region, the scale of the suffering caused by Ethiopia's recurring ethnic violence is laid bare. Here, 98,000 ethnic Somalis displaced by conflict in the Oromia region have set up camp. Residents of the Koloji camp are mainly made up of farmers and businessmen, some of whom were uprooted by attacks 3 years ago. Others have joined the camp more recently.
I had everything I needed before the conflict. I had a booming business and coffee farms. I've lost everything and now I have nothing to give my 12 children.
Officials of the Somali regional administration say while they've done everything they could to improve conditions at the camp, more assistance is needed.
We have established schools for the IDPs and helped wherever we could, but our resources are limited. We appeal to donors to help resettle these people so they can go back to their own independent lives.
For now, Ethiopia continues to face a growing crisis of ethnic nationalism that some fear could tear Africa's second most populous country apart. Many hope the elections next week will bring them some respite. Until then, Ethiopia continues to be at a crossroads. Mohammed Adaw, Al Jazeera, Biki in the Somali region of Ethiopia.
And that is all for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.